Donald Trump is officially the president-elect of the United States, and he will be the 47th president of the US of A. And naturally, people are asking a lot of questions about what this means for the global order, and sometimes in Mexico specifically. What does this mean for Mexico's economy? What does this mean for immigration? What does it mean for expats living in Mexico? So in this video, we're going to be breaking all of that down as expats currently living in Mexico, and also as nerds who geek out on geopolitics and geoeconomics every once in a while.
Welcome to Entrepreneur Expat. I'm Justin and this is Amanda. And on this channel, we talk about everything from moving to another country, how to get visas and immigrate, how to build your life as an expat, and of course, making sure that you have a remote location independent income stream like an online business in order to be able to support yourself while you are living abroad. If that is something that interests you, you'll definitely want to download our Make Money From Anywhere guide right below this video, where we're going to go into detail about the first things you need to know to actually start doing that and all the skill sets that are involved and things like that. And definitely subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss a single update about all things moving abroad. And we're going to teach you exactly what you need to know about living in Mexico or any other country, as well as a lot of news and current events that may interest you as an expat or soon to be expat. And if you like this kind of content, please make sure you also give this video a thumbs up and hit the notification bell, because that helps us out with the algorithm and in our mission with reaching 1 million expats and aspiring expats.
So there's two key areas where people are concerned about the US-Mexico relationship. One of them is economic and the other one is immigration. We're going to talk about both, but we're going to be talking about it from inside of Mexico. So we're going to be telling you what the mainstream media in the United States is probably not telling you about a few of these things, so that you are well informed, because the mainstream media in the United States just gives you the narrative that they think Americans want to hear, or the narrative that makes them money. Let's be real. But there's a lot of things going on in other countries all over the world that also affect what is going on in the global world order and in global economics. So we're going to do our best to kind of give you that more holistic perspective, and we'll be doing it a lot more on this channel as well. So the first area where people are interested to see how a Trump presidency will affect Mexico is when it comes to economics, because Trump has, not very secretly said that he is a fan of tariffs.
He wants to put tariffs on everybody importing goods into the US, whether that's Mexico, China, any other country.
More specifically China, and then China does tend to use Mexico as a backdoor to import goods into the United States. So that is a thing, it happens. And tariffs could be good or bad. Now, if you are inside of the United States, the idea with tariffs is that the idea is to bring revenue into the country. Let's be real, the United States is very deeply in debt, which is one of the biggest problems that country has, that whoever the president was would have to figure it out, and both parties love to spend money.
They're so in debt that just the interest payments alone every year on their debt are over $1 trillion, which is just wild when you think about it.
So the idea is that if he puts tariffs, then there's more revenue coming into the United States in order to start paying off that debt. The other idea is that there will be a lot more jobs that are now being kept domestically. There are a lot of American companies in Mexico doing business in Mexico, hiring Mexicans. So that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. And then in addition to that, they'll probably have to renegotiate the relationship between Mexico, the United States, and Canada. But the main idea with the tariffs is to bring revenue into the United States to start paying off that debt. Now, the downsides of this, and this is what some of the stuff the mainstream media is telling you, some of it is not. So we're going to tell you from inside of Mexico, like we said. The downside is that it's probably going to make goods in the United States more expensive for Americans, so that could lead to more inflation. They're saying this is a temporary thing, kind of like a course correction.
And he's also talked about threatening tariffs with a lot of countries. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, although I do sort of get the idea where if you threaten them with a tariff,
then
they're going to bring costs down, all that.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess he has said it on some podcasts and things that he was on, that it's just like even mentioning the word tariff will get other countries to renegotiate, and then he may not have to actually put the tariffs. So there's also that. We don't know. It remains to be seen. We're just reporting what we're seeing. But let's say tariffs do get put into place and things are going to get more expensive in the United States for the everyday American. He's also talked about abolishing income tax, though. Or at least he thinks there's no point to income tax, which I would agree.
I agree.
Right? But the idea is the tariffs would bring in that revenue back into the country because
That's how it worked before.
Yes. So that's the idea. But things will get more expensive for Americans. Mexico might lose some business, but
Market share.
And market share. But here's what a lot of mainstream media in the United States has not been talking about when it comes to Mexico, which is that Mexico has been making an effort to diversify its economy so it's not so reliant on the United States and Canada. That's what the mainstream media will not tell you, which makes me feel like Mexico kind of knew all this stuff was coming.
They knew it was coming. They knew it was coming, and
preparing.
exactly. Like they've been getting closer and closer to China, for example. There's a lot of trade now between Mexico and China, and as Amanda mentioned earlier, China is setting up a lot of factories here, which Trump has said with a very iron fist, we're not going to let them build cars in Mexico and import them into the U.S. We'll see how that actually plays out. But that was kind of one of the things, and they're getting closer to China, separating a little bit from the U.S. They kind of saw this whole multipolar world order thing coming. The U.S. is not going to be the only player, the only game in town pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, the United States arguably is already not the only player in town. Mexico kind of already saw that coming, and Mexico has been slowly but surely diversifying how it makes its money and trying to rely less on its neighbors to the north. That is the thing that the mainstream media in the United States most likely will not tell you because it does not fit their narrative. Now, the other thing that might happen if you are an expat and you're living in Mexico is the dollar is probably going to be a lot stronger under Trump because markets, I don't care whether you like the guy or not, there is such a thing called the Trump bump, right?
Oh yeah, our stocks went up almost 20%.
Yeah, the stock market rallied. Markets like certainty, and he's the business guy. It is what it is, which means the dollar will likely be stronger, which means that your life in Mexico gets cheaper, or traveling to Mexico gets cheaper. It might mean that the tourism economy from Americans in Mexico actually has a giant boost because of a strong dollar, or it could also mean that the cost of living for Americans goes up depending on what Trump is able to do, and then you'll see more Americans moving to Mexico. It could go either way. Maybe it's both. I think
it's both, yeah, because there's a lot of people that like Trump, but there's obviously equally as many around there that really don't like Trump, and so as much as what Trump's doing may help the U.S. economy potentially in the short term, we know that mid to long term, things don't look like they're really getting better anytime soon, no matter who's in office. And more people are waking up to the fact that there's a lot of opportunity outside of the U.S. and, of course, a much higher quality of life and a lower cost of living.
Some moves.
Asia has, absolutely. And Southeast Asia is a great destination for expats, and there's so many countries in Asia that are now, their economies are gearing up. Russia, same kind of thing. It's had stronger economic growth recently.
It's had the fastest economic growth, yeah.
Yeah, and so other countries are now coming into economic power, and it is disrupting that balance. And that's going to throw people in the U.S. off a lot, and things are going to get more expensive no matter what happens with tariffs. And living overseas is going to become more and more of an attractive option for Americans.
Yeah, and speaking of the multipolar world and China making moves, Russia making moves, there was a rumor that Mexico wanted to join BRICS. I have not been able to confirm this rumor, but there's a rumor that Mexico is interested in joining BRICS, and we'll be covering more BRICS stuff on this channel, so make sure to subscribe because Americans have no idea that that's even going on, and the only candidate who really talked about it was RFK and being like, hey guys, this is a problem that we have to figure out. So the world is shifting and the world is moving in a bunch of different ways, and it seems like Mexico kind of saw that happening and has been trying to position itself accordingly. So we'll see what ends up happening economically and with all of that. Now, the second area where people have the most concern is immigration.
That's a big one.
That's
for
a big
Trump,
one
for sure. And one of the things that of course, Trump is saying that he's going to do is deport all of the people that are in the country illegally, all of those undocumented people that came in under the Biden administration, in some cases with viable asylum claims, but in many, many more cases, perhaps, they were just using the system that, in their defense was set out like a red carpet in front of the border. Please come in. We're gonna bus you to a big city. We're gonna give you a stay in a 5-star hotel in New York City. We're going to give you food. We're going to give you cell phones. Everything you need is here. And let me just say that no matter how much our hearts bleed for people in other countries that are not doing very well, whether that's Central America, whether that's certain South American countries, Cuba, wherever, we cannot, as a country, as America, do anything to make a huge enough dent in all of those other places in the world. It's impossible. There's an unlimited number of people that will come, and there's a finite amount of resources to help them. Now, of course, you look at it from a spiritual plane, whatever, like it's not really a zero-sum game, but the way the government works and the way that money flows and the way that we're offering, or that we have been offering support to illegal immigrants in the US, it's not sustainable for America. And maybe they're trying to get votes. Maybe there's all sorts of things that are probably going on underneath the surface when they do that.
100%.
I don't believe for a second that
Yeah.
it's just humanitarian. We're just going to be nice to these people just because. It's just not realistic, guys.
It's not realistic. Other countries have used mass migration as basically a means to fuck over other countries before it has happened. Latinos know this because our countries have done it. Okay, let's not pretend our countries haven't done that. But a lot of countries in Latin America kind of want Trump to figure that out because, for example, Colombia is like, we can't take it with all the Venezuelan migrants anymore. Mexico is also having problems with immigration right now because everybody's trying to get to the southern border. Lots of countries in Central America are also like, can somebody please get that border in the United States under control?
Absolutely, yeah, because they're crossing through all these other countries trying to eventually make it to the US.
And it's causing a lot of problems. It's causing a lot of problems all over Central America. It's causing a lot of problems in Mexico. It's causing a lot of problems in Colombia. And this is what a lot of Americans in the mainstream media do not know. So let's tell you, and we live in Latin America, so we can tell you what it is that we're being told, for example, by Mexicans. Another thing that Americans don't know, and we know this from being inside of Mexico, we've met several Mexicans and also people from other countries who are stuck in Mexico because who are not being given visas. These are wealthy people. These are educated people. These are people who would not be a burden on the U.S. system. They want to go do business. They want to go spend money. They want to go do all those things. They're getting denied for visas left and right. And then they go find out that, their buddy over there or like somebody that they know, fulano de tal, who's broke and has a criminal record, was led into the United States. This is happening. This is real. We've met several people in Mexico who have had that experience, and the Mexicans are confused because they're like, yeah, my friend with money gets denied for a visa. My friend with a criminal record gets led into the United States.
And we're seeing this happen every
Make
day.
it make sense. They don't understand, and it's also causing problems for Mexico. So we have a colleague who was, she's Italian. She's wealthy. She has a multi-million-dollar business. She spent thousands of dollars on lawyers. She's stuck here in Mexico because she keeps getting denied for a visa. She tried to get into the United States legally through the border, the southern border, and she got put in a holding cell for 4 hours while they let everybody else in. This is real. She posted about it this morning on Facebook. So if you were to ask her, because and the reason she posted it on Facebook was because somebody came to her and they're like, oh, you must be so terrified with Trump in office and immigration. And she was like, actually, I'm not. Please get your shit together, United States, and get your immigration under control because I got put in a hole.
If anybody's familiar with that show from Miami.
Only Miami. People from Miami would be familiar with that show. She's
That's
like,
what it
please,
feels like. Yeah.
Please get it together because I've got money. I've spent thousands on lawyers. I've been trying to do this legally. I got put in a holding cell for 4 hours and have been separated from my fiance for 2.5 years. And we have a friend from our meditation class who does business in the United States. She's a lawyer. She does business between the two countries and they denied her visa.
Her renewal. She actually already had a visa.
renewal.
They wouldn't renew it. with no reason. Like, but yet you can just walk across the border and go through a little hole in the chain link fence somewhere in California and just hop right in, and then you get everything that you need, and you're bused to the nearest big city. Like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of Americans, if you just watch MSNBC, then you don't realize this is happening. But we're telling you from real life examples of people that we know here in Mexico who are trying to get visas into the United States and what they're experiencing. And in addition to that, we just went through the immigration process in Mexico, and the Mexican immigration process currently has a lot more common sense than that of the United States. If you are not a burden on the Mexican system and you can prove that you have money, they will give you a visa and they will let you stay. It's not rocket science. Now, in terms of Sheinbaum and Trump on how they're going to negotiate this, they haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, obviously. But I guess last week, Sheinbaum and Trump did get to speak to congratulate each other on winning the elections. You guys have to be careful with the news, because I don't know if I told you this, but there were some, like The Guardian or some like Western media was like, Claudia Sheinbaum sends warning to Trump. She has strong words, blah, blah, blah. And then they did clips of her press conference, but I had actually watched the entire press conference that Sheinbaum did about speaking with Trump, and she said, actually, he was super cordial. He sent respects to AMLO, which is the predecessor to Sheinbaum, and Trump and AMLO had respect for each other. They did get along quite well. I heard they're both fierce negotiators, both of them. That's what Trump said about AMLO. That guy can negotiate.
Yeah.
That's why he liked
You learn a lot about negotiation when you live down here. I'll tell you that much for sure.
That's true. And that it was very cordial, and that he mentioned, we're going to have to talk about the border. And she goes, yeah, we'll talk about it. And that she's most likely going to be at the inauguration. So the media was trying to manipulate this whole thing into Sheinbaum and Trump are arguing, but that's not what happened at all. I watched the entire press conference in Spanish. So you guys have to be a little careful with what is being shown out there. And then they did ask Sheinbaum about immigration, and she's like, look, we're already doing what we can to try and stop it. And there's debate about this in Mexico as to whether or not it's a good idea. But I guess the idea is trying to figure out why people are leaving all these countries and trying to make it so that they don't have to leave those countries.
Maybe like the U.S. getting their eggplant out of other countries' hoo-has.
Business.
And, not setting up special operations and I don't want to get banned yet, so we'll leave it at that. But if the U.S. would mind its own damn business and not cause political chaos everywhere, then perhaps we wouldn't have so many migrants fleeing these countries. Maybe, just a theory. I don't know. I could be totally off, but that's my hunch.
We'll see what happens, because obviously, how Trump decides to handle immigration is going to affect how Mexico handles its immigration. I saw some comments from Mexicans that were like, Mexico needs to shut its southern border with Guatemala. Let's go, right? And a lot of them were just happy that Trump was there to kind of lead the way, because this whole immigration situation is causing problems all over Central America, and they all want the problem solved.
Yeah.
Now, how to solve it, I guess that's where there's debate, and we're going to see what happens. But everybody wants the problem solved because everybody knows there is a problem, even though Kamala told you there wasn't.
So those are all the main things that we think are going to happen, and their positive sides and negative sides based on the Trump presidency as it relates to Mexico. We hope you found this video valuable, and we'd love to hear from you and hear your comments down below as well. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of them. We love to hear from you guys. Just have your opinions, but please keep it polite, keep it cordial.
Yeah, y'all got a little disrespectful in the comments with each other when we talked about the election. Please don't do that. Please, let's use critical thinking. And if you're going to make a point, but no need to get crazy. In the comments, let's learn how to have, an adult political discourse again.
Yep.
Make sure to subscribe, because we're going to be covering a lot more geoeconomics and geopolitics as the world turns and changes. We'll be covering a lot more of it for those of you who like to geek out on those kinds of things like we do. Make sure to give this video a like, comment below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.